Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Schuyler County at the Sugar Grove United Methodist Church. Last Mother's Day, the small congregation of this church woke up to a very painful reality. Their church had suffered a bad fire, so bad they didn't know if it could be salvaged. Well, after months of debate, they made a painful decision. They would abandon this old church, which meant so much to the community, and they would build a new one. What's amazing about this is they did all this within about 5 months. Well, Delbert, my goodness, you know, this doesn't look like an 1880 church.
Well,
it looks like somebody did some serious work to this.
We have done a lot of serious work to this church in the last 20, 25 years, including this addition right here. We built this front entrance, finished it approximately 6 years ago. It's all knotty pine.
It looks brand new. It's gorgeous.
Well, if you look real close, there wasn't a fire out here. You know, no water damage here, but the heat was here. It actually melted the varnish off of this siding. Wow. It got that hot right here even.
You have the new knotty pine and you have the new ceramic tile floor.
Yes.
And of course this is all it's all new, and it's what terrible timing.
Well, it's, you know, yes, it was.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time and a lot of money, like I said, in the last 20 years, and we had everything major done to this church that we planned on doing. And
yeah.
Within about 5 years ago. Well, we added the tile in the basement about 3 or 4 years ago, I guess.
You were working on this all the time.
Yes.
Getting the siding on the outside, the roofing, all that stuff, keeping it good.
Yes, we kept it up, and like I said, we were done. About 3 or 4 years ago, we thought we was done with everything. We could kind of relax for a while.
Well, take us up to the sanctuary, will you?
Okay.
This is a shame.
Watch your step now.
Okay. Boy, it sure smells like smoke still, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It looks and smells kind of nasty.
Oh. Okay, so what started this fire?
It started in electrical wiring in the kitchen, in the basement. Of course, the fire came straight up, and this is a hole that burned in the sanctuary floor. And the investigators said this fire probably got started and smoldered and smoked and tried to get started probably 2 or 3 hours before we realized it. For some people going by actually saw smoke coming out of the building.
And was it? I mean, was it so hot it was real destructive? I mean, was it a very hot fire?
Well, there's 4 fire departments that responded to this, and they said almost, you know, to a man that this is the hottest fire they've ever seen. None of the windows were broken by the time they got here. The firemen busted the windows to let the heat out. The church is very well built, very well insulated, and just captured all that heat. Approximately 2,000 degrees.
2,000 degrees. And
what
now I noticed
saying.
here that you were able to. The story was that they wanted to come in to ruin the stained glass windows, to come in that way.
Well, the firemen as smoke didn't realize they were stained glass, I guess, and they was going around from the outside busting windows to let the heat and the smoke out. And a member of our congregation, Bob Jett, happened to see them, you know, and he stopped them from busting these 2 windows.
No, go in another way. Go in another way.
Get these side windows. And these two windows, these stained glass windows, yeah, we saved them. They're in the new church. They're donated by the Cotter family, a local family.
That's good. Well, a lot of the things, as we go into the new church later in the program, a lot of the things you were able to salvage, clean up, and they're now in the new church, which is really a nice connection, isn't it?
Yeah, we salvaged all we could. We wanted the connection, like you said, that meant a lot to us.
As we look around here, you can see that there's been a lot of stenciling and artwork here. That, of course, it looks like heck now, but but at a time, I guess it was you really had done some nice artistic work here.
There's no way you can tell how beautiful this church was. You know, the first time somebody came in here, they just couldn't believe it. You know, the stenciling was a lot like it was back in the 1880s when this was built. We tried to, through old pictures and, you know, tried to kind of duplicate it, and it was a very pretty building.
And you say you grew up in this church, huh?
Yeah. From the day, you know, till I can remember, you know, from 4 or 5 years old in Sunday school up till I was about 20. and I moved to the Peoria area for about 10 years and came back.
Yeah. And we're standing right under a place where a chandelier, the main chandelier hung, and you were able to save that.
We saved that chandelier.
That's also
it's in the foyer of the new church. It cleaned up.
Okay.
In fact, it cleaned up. We didn't hardly recognize it. It had a lot of dirt and grime from the last 100 years on it, you know, and Bill Peterson cleaned it up, and man, it is pretty.
Mm-hmm. Just to show, we talked about how hot the fire was. You can see what it did to this pew. Look at how charred that pew is there. My goodness.
Yeah, this is the worst pew. Obviously, we couldn't save these two, but they were over here above the fire itself. Now, the rest of the pews we've got stored. We actually bought new pews.
And they're in the new church. They're
new
already
church.
installed.
A lot of these pews came from different churches over the years. They didn't match, and they're
And
different
this little
lengths.
organ, my God, talk about heat. Look at these keys. They're all just curled up. They're just melted. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's for sale cheap if you want a piano and an organ.
I'll tell you, I could get a piano and an organ at the same time, couldn't I? They won't even barely press down. Well, listen, we got to go into the basement if it's safe enough. Can we go down in the basement and take a look?
Yes, we can, but when we get down there, you got to watch your step.
Okay.
Now, you want to go down the stair steps, or you want to go out the way we came in?
Let's go out the way we came in.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Delbert.
This is a mess, isn't it?
Oh, man.
Yep.
It's a true mess. You can see that this is kind of neat, this old ceiling.
Yeah, this is
this
original
old
tin ceiling from the 1920s, and I'm told it's actually tin.
Yeah, I hope that you can salvage some of it, but
Yeah,
cleaning it up would be a terrible chore, wouldn't it?
Yep.
And here, you can see your ceramic tile survived okay, nothing, but I don't know if you'll ever be able to use it again either.
I don't want to be the one to take it up.
Can you imagine? Yeah, right. Interesting. We saw over there in that room where they believe the fire started
kitchen,
and burned up. Yeah. This church, when it was built, didn't even have a basement.
No,
the congregation wanted a basement so they could have extra room for community functions, for school, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how in the heck did they dig a basement?
Well, there's two schools of thought here, kind of. Well, one time the church faced this way, east and west, and they moved it 90 degrees, but we're not real sure about that. But at that time, they jacked the church up on logs high enough for the workers to get started on digging under it, and they actually dug out the basement with mules and what they call slip scoops.
No kidding. A yard at a time.
Yeah, I talked to, probably 30 years ago, it was the last time I talked to this man, but he actually was 9 years old and he stood across the street and watched them. So it was actually dug with mules and
so they
slip
scooped
scoops.
this out manually, scooped it out.
Yes, they did.
Wow. Wow.
Listen, this was in 1920. Of course, there was tractors in, but they couldn't get down under it. There wasn't the clearance and everything. So it was done the hard way.
This church and all that work, it's going to be demolished, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's going to come down. I'm not sure how yet. We haven't got to that. We'll probably decide that in the next month, whether it's just going to be dropped or whether they're going to try to salvage some of it or not. It's, there's a lot of dangers here trying to get this wood and stuff out, and insurance problems and things like that. But yes, it's going to be salvaged.
But I'll tell you what, there is a lot of good news because that new church, it's ready to use, isn't it?
It's ready to go.
Yeah. Let's go take a look at the new church.
Yeah, okay.
Kay Matthewson, I think the most incredible thing to me about this story is the fact that here we are only less than a year from the time this historic church burned. You're ready for services in the new church.
Yes.
It's incredible.
I know.
How did the congregation do it?
Our congregation is a wonderful congregation. We had multiple meetings, and on average we probably met 2 to 4 times a month. And I thought at the beginning of our meetings that we had probably 30 to 40 people come to our meetings, and I figured as the year progressed the numbers would go down. I was wrong. The numbers continued to grow, and the excitement of talking about a new building or redoing the other building was a big decision that the congregation had to make. We have a lot of older congregation members that really have attachments to the old building.
Sure.
And to consider even building a new one was foreign to them. But with the numbers coming in, we talked a little bit briefly about the contractors. And they're the contractors, both members are from the church.
That's great.
Rex Powell, and then my husband is one, and he has his own construction business as well. They combined and formed a new company, Genesis Contracting. And they have worked so well together, and between Rick and Rex, myself, and Rex's wife Tanya, and the insurance company, we crunched numbers day and night with the insurance company to come up with the maximum dollar amount that we could actually receive from the insurance. And with that being said, with the numbers coming in, to redo the old structure was pushing close to $500,000. So, and we would still have an old building.
Right.
So we did decide as a congregation to build our new structure.
So we can do this. We can do this for $500,000,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And you came in. Did you come in on budget?
Yes, we did.
Amazing.
Yes,
Amazing.
we did.
And you got more church.
Yes,
You
we
got
have more church, more space.
Can we see the inside?
Yes, I'd love to show you.
Oh, it smells new.
Yes, looks new.
It's nice. This smells a lot better than the old church.
Absolutely, yes.
In the foyer, you know, when we were in the old church, we mentioned that we were able to save some of the features, the glass and
The chandelier is one, and it actually looks better now that it went through the fire.
It's really cleaned up nicely.
It has cleaned up really well, and the glass actually has kind of a purple. It casts off a purple, which, as you can tell, is one of the favorite colors amongst the congregation because most of the ladies like purple.
There's a lot of purple.
A lot of purple.
You're able to save one of the old pews.
One of the old pews. That's been refinished.
Really a nice memento. It really is nice to have that. It's too bad you couldn't have 20 of them for the church, but
Right.
But one is better than none. And actually, and over there too is some more of what you're able to save. Isn't
Right.
it?
Save the table and the cross, and then the candle holders. And the painting is a recent painting done by one of our members, and
You'll be really glad to have that, especially after you demolish.
right,
the
and
old
then it's
church.
gone. Yeah, when it's gone,
then it's gone.
that picture will be a reminder.
Let's go in the sanctuary.
Okay.
Like you said, purple. You've got sort of a purple rug here.
Yes, we do.
New pews.
New pews.
Just installed, delivered
Last
and
week.
installed. Okay.
So they're new. We did save the altar,
Oh, the rail.
the altar railing. Yeah, this is original.
This was in the old church.
Yes.
Oh man, it shows some wear, but
Yes,
it cleaned up
does.
nicely
It
too.
did
didn't
clean
it?
up very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the pulpit.
The pulpit, yes. That was saved. I'm not sure how old that is. A lot of the members say it was there when they attended Sugar Grove. So that's probably one of the oldest items
Yeah.
that was saved and salvaged.
Yeah, I'll bet that took some cleaning up, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It was black.
It was black.
It was black, yeah.
Man.
Just with years of wear.
Oh, from okay, not
And
from
the-
smoke, but from years of wear and
And the varnish,
getting
yeah.
black on it.
Yeah. We saved both of the chairs
Uh-huh.
and the table for the communion. and
Wonderful.
the cross. We did
The
save
big
the cross.
cross, outlined in purple again.
Yes. Where it was hanging at the old sanctuary, you could see it lit from the road. And a lot of people that would drive by would see the cross being lit up, and it would just catch their eye. And if they were having a particularly bad day, the church was always unlocked.
Yeah.
And they could go in there, and the cross was always lit. And we're hoping to do that here as well. And you can still see the cross lit as you drive by, so that will stay on.
When we were over in the old church, we looked at, we told the story about the firemen were trying to get in to let the heat out, and
Yes.
they were going to break through the stained glass windows.
Yes.
And somebody stopped them.
Yeah, one of our members stopped him.
Well, here they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that wonderful that you're able to save those?
Yes.
My goodness. And the trim looks like old trim too. That's really nice.
Right, we outlined those in white for a reason, so the stained glass would show and not the wood, because that was a feature that we're very proud of, that we were able to save.
Very nice.
Yes. The attendance board as well. that
Oh,
is
over in the corner.
over in the corner.
Okay,
We
yeah,
did save
that looks
that.
old-fashioned. It
Yes.
looks real old-fashioned.
Yeah, so we did get to save that.
Talk about space, Kay.
Yes, isn't this beautiful?
I mean, we saw the old basement. That was your community space.
Yes.
And that was your classroom, and your place for potlucks.
Yes.
And your place for meetings.
Yes, everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And now
What a
look.
change, huh?
Yes, beautiful. Lots more room.
No kidding.
And this is one of our youth classrooms that we have. right off.
And you
we're
have a
also,
couple of them, don't you?
Yes, we do. We're also going to, this is kind of labeled the groom's room. We're hopefully going to be having some weddings coming up.
Sure.
And then the groom can just walk right into the sanctuary.
He can fiddle and get nervous.
That's right,
in
and
there.
get all nervous about things. That's a storage room.
Storage, okay. Boy, what a big kitchen. And you guys see you have some help in there too.
Yes,
That's
we
good.
do. We always have help in the kitchen. Yes.
I want that kitchen.
This is about 4 times the size of the one that we
You
had.
could feed the whole congregation
Oh
from
yeah,
this kitchen.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this looks really old.
That's an interesting fact in the church. That's been around for years, under lots of discussion whether to keep it or to not. As you can tell, we're going to keep it. So it fits just perfect, doesn't it?
There's been a lot of buffets spread out on that
Yes.
table over the
Yeah.
years.
So
haven't
it's
they?
found a home here.
Yeah.
So.
Restrooms down there and another children's classroom
Yes,
down there.
yes.
And then what you have here that you didn't have before is a place where you could have your adult classes.
Right.
Well, this is a nice big room.
This is the adult classroom for Sunday school. We're also going to use this possibly like for our UMW meetings or areas where we can kind of section ourselves off and do meetings, maybe even some of our board meetings, and then close the door if there's something else going on in the other fellowship room.
Oh,
So,
nice. It's amazing that you put all this together in a matter of months.
right, a matter of months. Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, I'll bet.
So, okay.
Rex Powell, on November 4th, you started to dig the hole for the foundation for this thing. November, December, January, February, March. As we stand here in the beginning of April, that's only 5 months.
It's went real well.
Unbelievable pace.
It's went real well.
Yeah. How'd you do it?
Well, yeah, it was a challenge. I mean, everybody worked together well. We just had to schedule ahead, and a lot of subcontractors stepped up and worked us in. But there was a lot of preparation before November 4th.
A lot of meetings.
Yes, a lot of meetings.
And you had the benefit of having one of your fellow congregation members is also a contractor.
Right, that's
So
correct.
the two of you are builders.
Yep.
And between the two of you, you're able to figure it out and put it together and get the subs working and get it all done. It's kind of cool because what you've done is incorporated the old cornerstone into your project here, 1843, and rebuilt 2012. Nice.
Yeah, well, we've laid the blocks on everything except we didn't have the stone made yet. And when they come back to put the capstone around the top of the block, then they're going to mortar that in there and have it done permanently. Right now it's sitting in there waiting for dedication day. We're going to set that on the day of dedication on Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
So,
and that's the day that the old church burned.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
So in a year, you're actually in less than a year, you're ready to go.
Yep.
The stone, it's interesting, the stone that you use here is very similar to the stone that the old church was perched on. And you've even gone and tried to get the siding to look like the old church.
Right, we went away. This has vinyl siding on the old church now, but before that had just a wood lap siding. We kind of wanted to try to make it look wood, so we put on it's a wood composite type siding. It's got a rough grain on it. And then the windows are real similar to the size of the windows that were there originally. These windows are like 4 inches shorter, but they're pretty much identical.
Yep, yeah, they're very similar. And you were able to save the old sign that was on, and the shutter that was on the, that was a real characteristic of the old church.
Yeah, the shutter had been on there for a long time, and we all decided we wanted it on there. And that was the thing, you know, with building homes, you work with a couple people, and with the church we worked with the whole congregation, and every meeting we had was open to the whole congregation. And we had 20-25 people at our meetings, and it just went great. I mean,
that's a lot of opinions, though.
It was. It was. But you know, we all just pulled together and you know, thought what it was for, and we've come up with this.
Very fine work. Rick Matthewson, you're the other half of this incredible duo.
Yes.
That in 4 months or 5 months built a new church.
Yep.
You know, up from the ashes, like they say, right?
Yep.
And you know, when you think about, well, you had good weather.
Yep.
And you had cooperation from the congregation, and you had cooperation from the insurance company. Still, all that to have this thing ready in a matter of months it's pretty incredible.
Well, we had a lot of good contractors, you know, subs, and we had a lot of our workers, Rex and I both worked. They all worked hard on this. They really did.
You tried to carry a lot of the features from the old church into the new sanctuary.
Yes.
And I'm thinking particularly about the altar space.
Yeah, we redid all of it, and moved it all from basically took the measurements from over there and made it larger for the congregation, and redone all the altar rails. It was all sent off, and redid all of it, and redid all the stained glass windows. Took them from the old church.
That was not as easy said as done, was it?
No,
I mean,
no.
That would. What did they have to do to those?
The lead in some of them was melted, and they sent all the panes to Springfield, and they redid those, and then we put them all back in the sashes and put them all back in.
And like you say, it's amazing. You know, 2,000-degree heat would melt lead, wouldn't it? And that's exactly what happened to these windows. I'll be darned. And then, of course, you look like you must be a carpenter, because it looks like the trim, the trim that you put the windows back in is really.
Yeah, we tried to spruce up the sanctuary a little bit. We put rosettes and the thicker oak trim. Trying to think of some of the other things we done in here.
Gorgeous work.
Did a lot.
You did, and it's paid off, because you're ready. This is open for business, isn't
Yes,
it?
we're
Yeah, you can have your first service here.
Yeah, we're going to have our first service this Sunday.
Yeah, super. Thanks, Rick. Warren Dodds, you've sort of, everybody in the congregation that I've met has told me that if you want a history of the church, talk to Warren. so I'm going to the source here. Back in 1843, there wasn't much around here.
No.
But the folks that lived around here knew that they wanted a church. And so they built a log structure, didn't they?
At first, it started out just meeting in houses, in the homes, and circuit riders would come by and visit in the homes. That would be their church. And then later on in 1843, enough people were interested that they knew they wanted a church, and that's why they built the log structure.
Yeah. In fact, we have a picture of that, and I love this picture because it shows the old original log structure and the present church, the one that was in the fire. And it shows this fellow with his mule team, and apparently what they did was, the log structure used to be where the church is presently, and they must have skidded it across the road, maybe with these same mules, to make room for the present church.
Yeah. And it would have been a dirt road at that time, not a highway like it is now.
Yeah. And you have been a member of this congregation for a long time, but one of your family members was one of the founders.
Yes. One of the trustees. This is my great-great-grandfather, Charles.
He's down here in the right corner. That's Charles Thompson, right?
James
Thompson.
I'm thinking of Charles Davis right above him there.
And your great-great-grandfather was one of the founders in 1843. Okay, now we got it. Now, that church, we don't know what happened to that log structure, do we?
Well, they moved it across the road, and Abner Rowland, who was son-in-law to my great-great-grandfather, he had a blacksmith shop in it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and for several years, and then, of course now it's gone, and there's a store over there, but that was the ultimate end of it anyway.
You and I were talking about a curious aspect of those old churches. That old church didn't have a stove or a chimney in it.
No, no, having a stove in a church was not a means of grace, apparently, and so consequently they toughed it out.
Can you imagine on a really cold winter morning? That would be tough.
It would be, yeah.
Okay, you also dug out some interesting things for me. This is a copy of the deed in 1843, I guess.
From James and Mary Beard.
Okay, and they donated the land for the church in 1843. And then once it got to the courthouse, they would then type it up, and that's what this is. It's typed up, isn't it? Okay.
And to build our new church, we bought a little bit of additional land now to add to that.
And you mean the new church, the present church, the one that we're in now, the congregation bought what, a couple acres to put the new?
Maybe an acre and a half to 2 acres, somewhere in there.
You were very fortunate to get it right adjoining, weren't you? So you could do that. You keep all kinds of stuff, and I love this. Let's look at some of these old figures. This is from 1897, the Treasurer's Report of the Sugar Grove United Methodist Church. And you can see here, $2.90 is what the cash on hand is. And their contributions for the year were only $11.34.
Not too much.
Wow. But it didn't cost much to run either, because the cash for the pastor was $10. $3.50 to clean the organ, 90 cents for ice, 10 cents for starch.
$2 for firewood.
They had $2 for firewood. They had a little cash left over, which is really all you really hope for, isn't it?
Yes, yep. Back in those days, I'm sure it was.
Yeah. For somebody like you who has been around this church and your family's been around this church, what did it feel like when that church burned, when you found out that that church was?
We were devastated. It was Mother's Day, of course, a year ago, and first you don't believe it, and then when you see what actually happened, why, it's devastating. All of us that have been here today have been involved in this for many years, and it means a lot to us. Our families grew up here.
You have, as far as I can tell, you have about 75 members of the congregation.
That'd be about right.
And actually the congregation's probably gone down, because as I look up here, we can see that this is a record in 1892 of the number of people that attended Sunday school. And on one of these days, let's see, on this day,
Well, you had 26 people.
26 people, and you collected 13 cents.
Big day.
For that big day to pay the teacher or to heat the building or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, listen, thank you, Warren, and for getting all these things out, and for making yourself available. And also, I mean, I just got to say congratulations to you and everybody here for this is fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
It's hopefully it'll be here 100 years.
Yeah.
Congregations will still be using it.
Now that's a sound they've become accustomed to hearing here at Sugar Grove for many, many years, right before Sunday school on Sundays. And it's a sound that they'll hear again when they dedicate the new church on Mother's Day. With another Illinois story, in Schuyler County, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.